So our first speaker is with great pleasure that I introduce Seth Doherty. Seth has been at MCC as a residential math faculty since 2017. This was after 10 years at full-time faculty at St. Louis Community College. He serves on the MOER steering committee, MCC's OER committee, and has been using open educational resources for about 9 years now. He's the author of an upcoming children's novel, and he's going to be my new best friend because his favorite hobby is eating cookies. So welcome, Seth. Thank you for joining us, and we look forward to hearing what you have to share.
All right, welcome everybody. Thank you for that introduction. Is there cookies over the viewing party is like what I really want to know. If there is, I might view the second part of this over there. All right, I'm going to share my screen here. We're going to start with a real quick, there we go. Everybody can see my blue screen. All right, so we're going to start with a extremely brief history of assessment in math. I believe the original assessments in math were probably like done with sticks and rocks. I'm not an expert though, but that's my guess. And then at some point we probably moved to like scribbling stuff down on a scroll, probably. And then most of us probably remember the math textbook, and we were given instructions like homework, number 1 through 92, EOO. Does anybody remember what EOO means? EOO, every other odd. We were supposed to figure out what every other odd problem was, and we were supposed to do those. And, you know, this worked fine for a long time. I think with the internet, this got tainted a little bit because pretty quickly, every exercise from every math textbook was, all the solutions were available online. And it was easy enough for students to just pluck those off the internet, and it was hard to tell who was getting any benefit from the assessment at all. So that worked for a while, and at a certain point we needed something else. So we went to online homework for math, because with online homework we could create algorithmically generated math problems. So every student wasn't doing exactly the same exercise. They were doing similar exercises, but the numbers were randomly generated. So not every student should be getting exactly the same answer. And to do that, students had to purchase some sort of access code or access kit. And this worked well for a while. But these access codes, the price, went up every single year. And the higher the price got, the more students would try to complete the course without ever purchasing it. Real quick story. I once was teaching a self-paced lab course. It was a remedial math course where we worked in a computer lab, and students could kind of work at their own pace. So they could work ahead or fall behind if they want. And I would kind of go, it was like an emporium style class. And my math lab at the time had like a 14-day free trial before the student had to purchase the access code. I did have one student complete the entire semester course in that first 14 days because he did not have the money for the access code. But then he had to take all of his exams, and he did very poorly because it's not a good idea to do 16 weeks of work in only 4. So unfortunately, he didn't learn a whole lot. It was kind of impressive that he got through the entire class in 4 weeks. But again, with the price of these access codes, that's not what we're trying to promote here. So looking for something better, what if we could do the same thing, only free? And that's kind of where I got turned on to OER. And I would just say another downside with these publisher online homework kits is when you build your assessments, you're pulling exercises from like a question bank. And if there's nothing, if what you're looking for isn't there, for a while, you were kind of out of luck. At least at the time I left these behind, you were kind of out of luck. I know nowadays they allow you to customize some questions to a certain extent. But the one time I saw that, it was pretty unuser friendly. Okay, so in comes MOER. This is Maricopa's open educational resource. So this is a website we can use to give our students math assessments. and it is an open educational resource so they can use it for free, and it's fully customizable. So my assessments I put together are exactly as I want. I am not just limited to what's in a big question bank. I can make my own questions. I can take questions from the question bank that are almost what I want, and I can edit them so they're exactly what I want. So the full customizability is what's really great about this. And again, it's great that it's free. So this is just a website. It runs a software called iMath AS. It's an openly licensed software. So there are other websites around the country that look pretty similar and run the same software. Maybe you might have heard of Lumen Learning. Lumen Learning actually uses this software, and they have a website called Lumen Ohm that uses the same software. The only thing is with Lumen, the college is paying them to host it for them. So, the website we use, we're not really paying for that. MOER is its own learning management system, or it can be plugged into Canvas. So there's two different ways you can use it. So that flexibility is another really strong suit. If you like what you're doing in Canvas, this can be plugged right in. But it was created to work as its own LMS. So there are a lot of great features with that as well. There is a question bank just like the other ones, but the questions are all written by, myself and all of my colleagues. So they're more likely to be questions that like we want to use, which is really nice. Converting to OER in math is really simple because you can copy somebody else's course and start using it right away. Once you get a little more comfortable, you can start to make your own tweaks to the course to make it more aligned with what you're looking for. Or you can create a course from scratch. That's a little bit more work, but it is totally doable. So a lot of great things with this MOER website. I think I'm going to go ahead and show you this. Let me move this out of my way. Okay, so here's what a course looks like in MOER. This is just something I put together for training. You can put blocks that you can open and close in here. You can put whatever content you want. It looks, based on the calendar, we have homework due tonight, so we're probably going to need to look at that pretty soon. Basically, inside of a block, you can have, you can write your objectives, you can link to a textbook, you can have videos that you recommend that they watch, and then you can create your assessments. And again, I can't emphasize enough how great these assessments are because there's really no limit to the types of questions you can ask. We can just start with basic math questions. And you can see here that there are some help features. Some questions you can embed a help video to help them get started if they're stuck. Obviously, we can have a direct link to messaging the instructor, or we can have them post this question directly to the forum so the whole class can get involved on discussing this problem if it's problematic. We can also ask students to show their work if we want them to. If I open up this add work button, the student can either, they can either explain what they did, or they could take a photo of their notebook and attach that right in there. So if we really want to see their processes and stuff, we make it really easy for them to do that. Graphs, if we want to assess students' ability to read a graph, we can algorithmically generate these graphs. So every student will see slightly different graphs, and we can ask them to identify certain characteristics and stuff like that. And it's really easy to create these graphs in here. Let me show you a couple other, whoops, I clicked out of there real quick. Let me go back in there. I think I was at 5. Data, if we want to assess their ability to do something with data, again, the nice thing is this is all randomly generated data. You kind of identify like a minimum and maximum value for each of these, the input and output data here, and it'll randomly generate. So every student has a different data set and different answers, if that's what you want. If that's not what you want, then you can give them all the same data table. But that's a really nice feature if we want to have them work with data. There are graphing tools that they can use. So students can create graphs pretty easily. And if they use these graphing tools, these will be scored automatically. So I can make a parabola here. I can make this kind of function over here. I can make a circle. Really easy to create these graphs. I can highlight specific points on the graph if I want to. So really easy for if we want to assess a student's ability to graph a function, we can use these graphing tools. You can embed photos or graphs and ask them to analyze those. We can ask them to explain what they're thinking, okay? We want to assess whether students can do the math. We also want to assess whether they can communicate what they're doing. That's kind of the next level here. So we can put in these explanations and ask them to write a few sentences about why they made a certain decision. And I'll show you after this. It's really easy for me to go in and then give them feedback on what they've written. We can use freehand graphing. So if those graphing tools aren't exactly what we want, we can have students freehand draw. So they could draw something like this and something like this. They could put a dot here. So we can have them freehand draw. Now, again, this is not something that's going to be auto-graded. But again, it's really easy for me to go in and look at all of their graphs on a single screen and give them comments after they've done something like this. So this is a really nice feature. Again, instead of having them do a problem, maybe I do a problem and make a little mistake and see if they can find it. I know I use this type of question a lot where I ask them, okay, what step did the student make a mistake? And can you explain the mistake for me? So we can create questions like this, which I think generate some really interesting results. The site is not responding. Oops, there we go. We can embed videos. So we can embed a video and then have them, analyze what they saw in the video. We can do that very easily, and they can just watch the video right here. They don't have to open up a new tab. They can if they want, but they don't have to. They can watch the videos right there. We also can do like sliders, so they can manipulate this graph, and then we can ask them about, what they've discovered through these sliders. So we can incorporate things like that as well. So there's really no limit. If you can think it, we can probably make it work on here. So there's just such a wide variety of different types of problems you can include on these assessments. And then part of this too is about giving timely feedback that students will actually see. So if I go to grade one of these assignments, I think I have a few dummy students in here. Let me move this out of my way. I think I can look here. Yeah, so if I go to grade a student's assignment, I just go in here. I can add points or subtract points on a problem as I see fit, and I can give them feedback. I could give them feedback on every question if I need to, but if a student, if I want to comment on, let's see this student drew a graph and maybe I give them half credit, I can add feedback right here, and I can explain what was good about their graph, what was bad about their graph. And like I said, I could go through here and do this on every problem. If I read this student's explanation, I can put feedback. I could say, well, I agree with you mostly, but there is one thing that you've missed, and we can discuss it like that. And then once I submit this, once I get done and submit this, the student will have a notification that I've left them feedback, and they can go in the gradebook and open this up and see everything that I've left them. So not only, can we assess them, can they they'll see it. Where sometimes you feel like you're given feedback and they don't even look at it. Here they should see the feedback they left you, which is really nice. I forgot to start my timer, so I don't know how much time is left. One other thing I showed you that I'll comment, and then I'll just open it up to questions. On each of these homework questions, this is probably my favorite feature. We have this post to forum link. And so if a student is stuck on this problem, they can click this link, and it's going to generate a discussion board post automatically for them. It embeds their problem too, which is really good, because a lot of times you'll get questions like, I don't know what I did wrong on number 4, and I have no idea what their number 4 was. So it's really nice that it puts their problem in there. They can ask their question and post it. And then once they do, it goes into this, we call it the math lounge in math, but this is the homework discussion board. And this discussion board is really great because it's very easy to write mathematically and make it look nice. A lot of times, so like if I'm trying to write this in, say, Microsoft Word or something, it's really hard to get that to be readable. But in this discussion board, you can include graphs, you can write mathematical equations in a way that they're easily readable. It's really easy to put all of this stuff in a discussion forum. And in my online classes, we can generate a lot of really good discussions on some of the exercises that a lot of students find difficult. The other really cool thing is if a student is doing their homework and they get stuck on a particular question and they go to post it to the forum, if that question has already been posted by one of their classmates, it won't let them post it again. It will give them a message saying this has already been posted, and it'll link them to that thread. So they don't have to go through the embarrassment of like posting a question that somebody else posted the day before. It'll take them directly to that thread, and they can read the discussion that's already taken place, and then they can add to it if they want to. So that's another really, really cool feature about this. So this is something I've been using this, like I said, 8 or 9 years, and it's just been really great. You know, because it is free, so students can get on it day one. They don't have to wait for funds to buy their access code or books or anything like that. So we don't have any worries like that. It's easy to give and receive feedback, and it's easy to generate discussions on maybe some of the trickier problems. I think that covers kind of what I wanted to show. I'd be happy to answer any questions. I do know the physics department is now using this for their classes as well, which is pretty exciting. So it's not just math. Basically, any subject you're teaching where writing mathematical formulas or equations comes up, this is a really good tool.
Thank you so much, Seth. I teach anatomy, and especially for our online classes, we use a paid publisher's site for a few of the activities like that, you know, they don't get to come into lab to do blood pressure or blood typing and stuff. So we use a publisher site. So I'm curious to look into this. Like, is it just for math and physics, or are there other areas?
I think it could be literally for anything, but I
So
don't
it's
know
literally
that this
just
is.
like just general OER, but this is just specific to Maricopa that you're sharing with other Maricopa people.
Yeah, I just think if it's a field where writing mathematical formulas or equations doesn't come up, I don't know that this would have any benefit over just making content in Canvas.
Okay, because
I
this
think the
basically replaces Canvas modules. Like they don't, you wouldn't.
or you can plug it in. But yes,
Okay,
like for my classes, I'm using this instead of Canvas, but you can also plug the assessments into your Canvas shell as well. So you can use it both ways.
okay,
But like I said, I don't think there'd be much benefit if you're not having them like solve equations, if that makes sense.
okay. Does anyone have any questions for Seth? You can either put them in the chat or let's see, someone in the CTL has a question. Go ahead.
We were wondering if it had accessibility, if it's accessible.
Yeah, it meets all the accessibility requirements that any of those publisher, online homework. It has an accessibility statement that you can read, but it's going to have any accessibility features that any of those publisher websites have. As a student, there are some student settings that you can turn on or off different accessibility features, and it's pretty easy for a student to do that.
Would it look fairly similar to what you presented, like the student view? Is it basically what?
Yeah, this is student view.
That is
right
student
here.
view. Okay.
Yeah, this is student view. Instructor view is going to have a few more options. I might have stuff hidden that I'm not using right away,
Okay.
stuff like that. But yeah, this is student view.
So Seth, you said
Where
that
can you go to get this?
It's moer.maricopa.edu. If you're wanting like an instructor account, you can just email me and I can set that up for you.
So,
I'll
Seth,
put-
I really like the function that if they've got questions on homework, that it goes right to that discussion board. Do you see that students use that a lot? Do they jump on and like talk to each other?
Every class is different. I have some students where at the end of the semester, my discussion board has 6, 7, 8 pages worth of threads. But then I have some classes where there's only 3 threads. Every class is its own. Now my online classes will at least get to 1 or 2 pages because I'll get on there and start discussions as well. But like my in-person classes, some of them don't use it much at all, but some of them still will. I'll try to put I'll put my email in the chat in case anybody wants to talk about an instructor account or something like that. Do I know how to do that? I think I have to stop sharing. Yeah, I'll put my email in the chat.
Any other questions for Seth?
There's one question in the chat, Seth, that says, have you seen an improvement in retention and success compared to other resources?
So this is all I've used since I've been here. So I can't really make a comparison like I could compare it to my previous institution, but those were pretty different places as well. I do know some of the national, there's been research done on this nationally, and basically overall, what the research has shown is in terms of like success rates, comparing courses that use publisher content to OER, success rates are pretty well even, and retention rates are slightly better with OER, which I think makes a lot of sense because one of the barriers students might face is the financial burden, and OER is reducing that barrier.
Yeah, I can imagine that the students very much appreciate the the low or no cost.
Right.
We have another question in the chat. Have you pulled data from this and looked at student characteristics to see how it might support equity goals?
Yeah, we don't have those filters in our data collection yet, but I think those are coming, and that's data we're going to start to put together. But as of now, no, not really. But yeah, that's data we definitely plan on and want to look at for sure.
Did you say that your entire department is using this?
No, we're at
Oh.
about 50% in the
About
math department. There are some of our sister colleges, their math departments are 100%. So like that is possible. We're kind of a big department, so it might take us a while to get there, but we're at about 50%.
The 50% that are not, are they using traditional OER? Are they using publisher
No,
sites?
most of
Or are
them
they
are
using just
using
textbook?
most of them are using those publisher access code type of
Okay.
homework websites. Yeah. I initially started OER because at my previous college, I was teaching an upper level math class and it got canceled due to low enrollment. And, so I was looking at ways to make my class maybe stand out from some of the other options students had. And I thought, well, if mine was like free and the other ones weren't. So yeah, I never had a class canceled since.
Nice. We have another question in the chat. Does MOER have the ability, like, can Dropout Detective pull data from MOER?
No, I think it would be great
They're
if
not
it
linked
could,
at all.
but no, not right now, no. But that would be great if that could happen.
Right, just to make sure students are doing stuff and
Mhm.